clay never sleeps. Or is it that the pot never sleeps? Huh? One is changing, one is not changing. Man in the waking dream is very concerned about acquiring attributes, especially those recognized to be of value by the herd. And by picking up these attributes, he's got the right tattoos on. He's recognized. Tattoos. But it's clear that that one is living from a concept of what he is, or who he is. It's coming from the conceptual eye, the mental eye, which is the waking dream. And when Einstein said you can either live your life as though everything is a miracle or as though nothing is a miracle, it's based on whether you are seeing or looking at life. If you're looking at it and you're saying that's a poplar and that's a rose, you've got all the names right. But you're still looking at it. I'm not seeing it for something not separate from me. When I see it, I start to feel it as not separate from me. Then the relationship turns into one of beingness, or a bond of being. Because relationship always implies two. It takes two to relate. So it has to start with a relationship, and maybe one day it ends up as a bond of being, where there is not two. Other than at that moment of ejaculation, where there are not two. And that's why it's quite a special moment. And then it's the act that is taken to be the source of the joy, instead of the fact that there's been that moment of unity of consciousness. You've let go of boundaries, you've let go of forms. So that's another way of seeing it. Is there anything anybody would like to say? And when the bees are manifesting a beehive to store their young babes in, or honey, whatever, what is the intelligence behind that? Is it the intelligence of the bee? Or one might like to think it's the intelligence of the bee. But what is that intelligence behind that intelligence? It doesn't seem to have a memory as we know it, but it knows where to find a flower that's ready, like the rest of nature, knows where to go, what to do at what time, and it gets it right, because it can't think. Man has this wonderful gift of planning. The best laid plans of mice and men. I got that t-shirt, I must tell you. If it makes you feel any better. I got 3 stars for that. But I've learned now properly what I should have got a long time ago. So we're wrapping up a year with this retreat. On 2 decades. It's been a wonderful sojourn in Hart Bay. But as you all know, it's not the Hart Bay I once used to know. It's becoming a bit different. And I'd like to spend my golden years in a desirable, friendly, law-abiding group of people who have one calling, and that's inwards. So I don't know what's going to happen after I touch down. And I'm not trying to plan it other than getting the logistics right. Oh my goodness. So I have as much knowledge as you do about what's going to happen. All right, so let's wait and see if there's something that comes. And because everything is intelligently put together, there's no need to take heed of the morrow, as that one teacher said. Take no heed for the morrow. And then he said, as an example, look at the lilies of the field. They toiled not, neither did they strain. But Solomon in all his glory could not array like these fields of flowers. Who was the architect? What was the season? And we marvel at this amazing being, but forget that I am. That's always the problem. And then we stay in the waking dream. And we have the need to pray to a God to keep the relationship going. But it's necessary. You have to honor, or we have to honor where we are. There are passages of the journey where I am in the field of duality, foursquare. There are moments when I feel mind-free and in a different space. And when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. So when you're in that space, if it's a space of wholeness and stillness, then honor it. So if everything is already ordained, if there's no such thing as free will, if everything happens according to the master plan or infinite intelligence, so why am I working? Okay, we'll try not going to work for a few years. What did I say preceding that? I was leading up to something. I've got a luxurious excuse. It's old age. Never had this excuse before. Thank you. So then, if everything is predestined, why work? Now it depends who hears that statement, the head or the heart. If the head hears that statement, it will immediately drop tools and end up in tamas. To nothing. There's a tamasic doing nothing called dead stillness, and a living stillness. But the tamasic stillness is drop it. So I leave that. So if it comes to the mind and creates a feeling of tamas, it's different to if it arrives in the soul and the soul feels there's something here that I recognize, but not that, what the mind is recognizing. And then one ultimately has little choice in following something deeper than just looking at the form. What is more to this than meets the eye. That's when the soul is starting to sense. It's coming alive now. It's not listening to its forms. And it's feeling. And the way to feeling is to lose your fixation on planning, lose your fixation on specifics. Be open to accept that all things are part of I am. And therefore what you do to the part, you do to the whole. In other words, do unto others, if you see them as others, as you would have them do unto yourself, if you can't see that truth yet. But when you think of the decades you spent on Advaita, what is the message? Can't deny it anymore. I am what? The all in all. The unmoved mover. That does never sleep and has nothing to do with form or gender or political persuasion, etc. And what is the entry point or the portals to that state of being where you see things differently than when you're looking at them? What could be a portal to get into a state like that? Huh? Nature is the single most easy entrance to that way of being. Because you can look at the wonders and say, my God, who architects that? And it shuts you up. In other words, if it creates any awe, reverence, gratitude, it shuts your mind up and opens your heart. But you're not a tree. I was told you were. You don't have to have this dialogue with words. You don't even have to have it mentally. But you can just walk up to the tree and put your forehead on it. It's like me and that saxophone. I could touch it, but I wasn't communicating with it. Communication. And that's what communication is about. True communication, not verbiage. It's when soul meets soul, and it's been communication. When it's still froth at the surface, it will remain froth at the surface. You know, what did you do today? What is the temperature? And then you go through all the litany of normal greetings. Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. What you going to have today? Once you understand mind, you can see the trouble coming a mile away. It's better just to avoid it. Because the mind that can't shut up has to find another mind that also can't shut up. Then they keep him beautiful. So let's just see if something comes. Otherwise, we can just close the eyes. You feel free to ask any question on unrelated topics. It's always very welcome. And that initial mantra of I am is purported to be on the very breath that you breathe. Think of exhalation. What is the closest sound to? If your mouth's open, you're breathing through your mouth. And inhalation through your mouth. I am. It's written in your very breath. And that's a beautiful mantra. And you want to be still. Put the context of stillness there. Not in the middle of an assignment and the telephone's ringing and the dog is barking when your day or your morning is engineered. Some reasonable planning is required. No. It's time to be with nothing and nobody. To drop everything. To be attributeless in this moment, because that is my nature. That's the paradox. Everything we see, I am. And this native nothingness, I am. And the mind only sees it as a paradox because it's seeing the form. But the truth behind the form is written in the breath for each one of us. Can't forget that now. It is in the tiger's mouth. And you can draw that breath all the way from your feet, all the way through your crown chakra. And depending if you are that kind of a yogi. But if you are, or have that tendency, might be worthwhile trying standing, namaste in the east at sunrise. And on the inhalation, feel that movement up from Gaia, and then releasing it, or whatever your way is. In other words, it's not a thinking, it's an experiential way of being, with no thoughts. It can be anything like that. To break out of the confines, I should and I shouldn't, and it's this and it's that, this attribute and that attribute, instead of relaxing. Who's the one that has to be chained to attributes? Who am I? I. Who am I? When I was in biology class, you'll get that voice. That's the mental voice. And then somehow a knowing starts to develop. God knows how, God knows why. And it's calming, and it's chilling, and it certainly deepens the breathing. I don't question it. It's come. It's here. Thank you. Always good to say thank you for everything in life, also the difficult things. In other words, you're not pushing back against, you're not going upstream. You're going with what's coming. So you give thanks. Might not be comfortable, but there is no other way. This is what has to happen in this moment. Preordained. So what's going to happen if you resist what's preordained? You're not maybe going to come off first best. if it's true, and may it be your experience one day, that you see it as absolutely so, that everything is preordained. It has to be. Why could you have a horoscope if everything is planned by me? How would you have a horoscope? That's one of the Vedic traditions. It's how to read the horoscope. In other words, it's already preordained. So now the question is, I do something terrible, and I can default to that thing, well, it's ordained, it had to happen. I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Is it a true thing? Yes, it's true. If it's ordained, it has to happen. According to Einstein and Sri Ramana Maharshi, everything is preordained. So is it a good thing or a bad thing? See, that's the thinking mind interfering. There's no right and wrong, other than thinking makes it so. So what does it do to you if something feels a little bit niggly to you, but society gives you a roaring yes, that's perfectly fine? Okay, there's one scenario. When society is giving you a no, and something inside you says it's quite okay, it feels more difficult, but it's just as true. You're following you, your center, not the collective center. And how easy it is for social creatures that we are to stand up, not as a herd. But now, Pat, you're talking about Advaita, everybody's one. So surely there's a lower herd, there's individuality, and there's an upper herd. Putting it that way. Comes back to these three. Are you talking about the lower brotherhood or the upper brotherhood? I mean, I shouldn't be talking like this, but I mean, I've got a problem with words. What preceded this? Hmm? Sorry? The field of and. Preordained. Okay, yeah. Okay, so one good reason not to take things too seriously. We've always been advised to take things lightly. Maybe this is the reason why. It's preordained. You have no choice. Why regret? Why feel proud? Be neutral. Then you're not locked into the story of it. So the big thing that is always lurking in the background is that the first and the third arenas have a look-alike. That classic example of two people sitting still. One is sitting still in a tamasic stillness, and the other one is so deep in profound silence, he's also sitting still. Now they look as though they're doing the same thing. No action. Yeah, but for different contexts and reasons. So when I am in a rajasic mood, I woke up and I'm feeling rajasic. Did that have to happen according to astrology? If you have no free will, I mean, you have to bear in mind this is under the context of no free will. You wake up and get out of the wrong side of bed. Now, do you want to take the blame for that? Or is it as it is? It just is as it is, which is providence. So you don't pick up any accolades and you don't pick up any whiplashes. You're freed of both. So before I get swept away in a claim, let me look at, do I want the flip side of that? Because if you have one side of the coin, a strong wish and desire for, no, say no more. What is the most important thing? Not to me, but to I. What's the difference between me and I? Well, me is a concept related to this equipment. I is what animates the equipment. One departs and remains as is, the other one stays behind and gets corrupt. But who am I that witnesses and manifests all this, but doesn't believe it yet? And all these avatars from the past are trying one single message, and that is, take away your blinds and your limitations that you've inherited by conditioning. So yes, there is that sense of trembling, of saying, I am, coming from that other background, but coming from the trust in divine providence that you are not separate from divine providence. You reclaim your lost birthright that you gave away. I am. You can softly close the eyes. On the exhalation, let go of everything. On the exhalation is ah. Then when the inhalation comes, hum. If I get sidetracked, come back to the breathing associated with aham or I am. Let me not lose sight again and again and again of who I am. This I am is the primal sound of the Alpha and the Omega. Aham. Aham. Om. Softly open the eyes. If it's easier to be with I am rather than aham, it matters not. It's just bringing the mind to one point. And again, don't be shy to invite the impossible dream. I am. Where do we start? Tomorrow? It's an amazing step from self-concept to I am. But they all are asking us to make that. And they wouldn't ask if we couldn't. Is it because I'm not good enough? Is it because I'm scared? Is it because I need to know what's going to be there? Or is it all of the above? I can't hear you. We used to carry on till mid-December, if I remember correctly. Wasn't it about mid-December? But this year will be different, simply because December I'm going to be very busy. And therefore this will be the last meeting in Hartway. There won't be anything between now and forever. So to reiterate what's important, context is a maker or a breaker always. It's important. When I ever reach a crossroads, whenever I make a clear decision that truth is my way and I am the truth, but nothing but the truth. And when I want to take up that as a mantra, let's call it a mantra, I am or aham, and link it to the breath. May it be on a reasonably memorable occasion. May the first cut be suitable, because then it will foster good memories. But don't charge into a certain, well, just because it's on the calendar and I don't feel like doing it. The energy won't be the same. First cuts are the deepest. May they be backed by good energy and good context. It will bode very well in the future. Like if a boy, as has been mentioned many times in the past, is going to experience broccoli for the first time, she knows what the reaction will be, because she knows her son well enough. But if she hides the first cut under a layer of cheese, after he's eaten the whole meal, did you enjoy that? Next meal, a little bit less cheese, a little bit more broccoli. I don't know why we started talking about that. Nothing happening this side. How about your side? No, let's go inwards unless something comes. You can default to your own way of meditating, or you can default to the breath. Choice is yours.